Hello and welcome to Gamers Getting Older.
where a group of older gamers get together
Talk about the good old days of gaming.
and how times have changed for the better or worse. I'm Brendan.
I'm Steven.
I'm Nick, and we are
Gamers
Getting older.
Wow, that was
Perfect, guys. Perfect.
that was good, but not great. I've got my John GB AC, which has Pokemon Gold, Pokemon Red, Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Pinball, Super Mario Bros., Tetris, Donkey Kong Land, Dragon Warrior 3, Gauntlet Dark Legacy, Harvest Moon 2, Harvest Moon 3, Legend of Spyro, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, Legend of Zelda Minishing Cap, Pokemon Crystal version, Pokemon Red.
I'm playing a game that I used to play all the time when I had just gotten a mobile phone. I'm so glad it's still here and still free.
What's that?
It's called Hill Climb Racer. It came out
Why?
years ago.
Why does that sound familiar?
It's the one with the dudes in like you're like in a little red truck and you just have to get as far as you can and you keep running out of gas and it gets harder and harder.
Gotcha.
All right, we should intro.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry, guys. We are running a podcast right now. Welcome back to our mobile game. We were all on our phones playing games and pretty much forgot we were recording. So yeah, what's some mobile games that you guys have? Or do we want to go all the way back to the original OG mobile games and talk about those?
I think we have to go back because one thing that's the
You
younger
have to go back.
Yeah.
Oh my
younger
God,
crowd.
I'm not dressed for this.
Don't worry. I have everything you need in the trunk.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you with this. Okay,
It's probably his holy fire pants.
I've got one pair of sneakers, so if they get messed up, what am I gonna do?
You're gonna stub your toe, like last week. You were talking about it.
No, I'm sorry. If my shoes get damaged, I'm not leaving the car. I'm useless to you. I mean, can you imagine how weak the bottom of my feet are? I've been wearing shoes all my life. Like a rock will take me down. All right. I've got sensitive feet at this point. It's worked against me.
You know what you can do? You can sit in the car if your shoes are not working and play Snake on your Nokia.
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
Well, that's what I said. We have to throw it way back because we are a generation of gamers that weren't born with cell phones in our hands. I didn't have a cell phone until like 8th grade or my freshman year, or something like that.
It was definitely high school for me and it wasn't even my cell phone. Like my freshman year of high school, I had my dad's flip phone, like the old like Motorola, like the little fat, like it wasn't even the Razor. It was before the Razor even came out.
Yeah, my sister and I shared a phone.
Yeah,
I'm older than my sister, but like she had cheerleading and stuff at a younger age. And I remember when we first got a phone. I'm sorry,
that is to imply that you did cheerleading at a later age.
Fun fact, I was a cheerleader in college. So yeah. I did do cheerleading at a later age. Anyways, back to today's topic. We shared this phone. It later became my phone and it's my phone number. But ultimately, I remember having the Nokia brick, like the infamous phone that could be thrown off of a 20-story building and still survive. And
did it become your phone when she got done with cheerleading and you started?
Yeah, I think I had the brick for a while. It was to me, it was the best phone ever.
It was. It would survive a nuclear holocaust, that thing.
I mean, you could be in the middle of the mountains and you still had cell service.
Yes.
I personally remember the classic LG flip phone with the mirror on the front.
Yeah.
That very small, tiny thing. Did you guys have real cell phone plans when you started, or was it like the track phones with like you've got this many minutes, don't waste them because you got to check in with me, and also you can text like 40 times?
I was on my parents' plan. They
I got on my parents' plan.
Yeah, they added a phone to their plan for us.
Well, this is that fancy. Free text weekends, I felt like a king. I was like, I'm texting my girlfriend all night.
Yeah, baby, I ain't got to worry about it now. Let's do it.
Go ahead and send that text you were thinking about.
Yeah.
Midnight on Friday, you're like, let's go. I think the one thing I loved about my Nokia was it was like I don't think it was the first gen. Wow. Brendan, did you have something important to say?
No.
It was it had more than just Snake. It had Snake and it had bowling. And I was an avid bowler as a kid.
I remember
Sorry.
that was the first birthday party I ever went to, was your birthday party at that bowling alley, and I gave you that Pokemon deck that had Mewtwo in it. I remember that. That's a memory I'll always have. Because I had never been to a bowling alley.
It caught me off guard, and I was an avid bowler.
But I remember this bowling game on the Nokia just being like the greatest. It would keep me so entertained for so long. But then when cell phones evolved to like the Razor and things, I don't actually remember playing any games on like the Razor flip phone or even like the Blackberries. Did you guys play any mobile gaming outside of like the original Nokia games before kind of that lapse before we have what's now our modern day smartphone?
I mean, most of the phones I had always had Snake.
Yeah, I mean, besides Snake, the only thing special that I remember about phones before they jumped to smartphone territory was having a cool ringtone. You had to have a really cool ringtone because you'd never had that on vibrate. Everybody had to hear your sound bite that you downloaded off the internet and like turned into a ringtone. And also there was the ring back tone that people had, where you
Yes.
could call them and get to listen to your favorite song.
But,
Over and over.
but first it was please enjoy the music while your party has reached.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember calling Tyler a lot, and his goddamn ringback tone, play me some about the music like grandma and grandpa used to play. Like it's some random country song. I'm like, what is this?
I do remember the time of ringtones, and you had a tone for everything. It wasn't just when you got phone calls, like it was different for texts.
You had to have the cool the text one.
Because I had the one from Eurotrip, his email would say mail, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Every time I got a text message.
My dad still uses that.
Does he really?
For his email. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I remember the coolest text message tone I ever had was probably the Power Rangers morphin. You know what I mean? That thing. Like I was like, oh guys, I hope I get a text message. You know what I mean? So that everybody at the card shop will hear my phone go off.
Mine was I always had the Zelda stuff, like the hey, listen, or the chest opening.
Zelda has such great sound bites for that stuff, though.
Yeah. I mean, I still had up till like a few years ago, I had a hey, listen on my phone whenever I get certain messages, until it got really annoying when I joined a group text and it was just hey, listen.
What you need to do is put that for just the wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
like, oh, that one's important. I need to check.
Need to actually look at this one.
Yeah, I had a couple of those, and then Final Fantasy VII, the victory theme. Dun, 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 dun. But same thing, you start to get a lot of text, and then you never hear the full thing. Dun, 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 dun.
Remix.
You're like, did I win or did I not win?
Yeah. So it seems like for gaming wise, starting out, there wasn't a whole lot. You either had Snake or you had like solitaire type games.
Yeah, mobile gaming when cell phones first came out was basically just crappy PC games.
Yeah. It was the games that came on a PC when you bought it, Microsoft's preloaded games.
Yeah.
Similar to Minesweep and
But honestly, I would have loved to have that pinball game on a freaking phone. Like you're talking about the Microsoft games, that Space Arcade or whatever, the pinball. Would have been amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
That was really good. Oh, now that you speak of pinball, that makes me think of the old Sonic.
One?
No, the old Sonic pinball.
Oh yeah.
That was that's a blast from the past. I remember playing so much of that Sonic pinball. Because you had to like break through the top of like the pinball levels and it would continue to take you up or whatever.
Speaking of Sonic, I actually have a Sonic emulator on my phone now.
Well, I think the way that mobile gaming has evolved on cell phones is crazy. So I remember when I got my first like actual smartphone, it was like the second iPhone, I think. And I remember getting it and thinking, I will never be bored again. I now have I have an infinite fun device. I called it an infinite fun device. I have infinite fun in this because it can do everything. I can make calls, I can text, I can listen to music, I can look things up. There's games. It was great. It was great for the first like day or two. I had all the fun in the world, and I played a lot of mobile games back then. What are some of the kind of standout mobile games that you guys like played, like a real mobile game back in the day before everything became so? I think the market is so saturated with games now, but back in the day there wasn't that many games, right? I mean,
I have to
you knew which
say,
ones were good.
yeah, I would have to say those early ones were for me the ones that went rampant across the United States. That people were like, oh my god, are you playing this game? Do you have this game? Temple Run. Do you remember Temple
Yes.
Run?
Oh
It's just
yeah.
the guy running and you're just jumping
Yep.
into. You're trying to see
Temple Run
how
was so
far you
good.
go.
Yeah, Temple Run was great.
And then I think when I got my first iPhone and games started to become a little bit bigger, it's actually a game I still have and play off and on today. So it would be, I've been playing it for 12, 14 years, something like that, is Clash of Clans. When Clash of Clans came out, I got into it because where we worked, when Nick and I were working together, our friend Tevis was really big into playing Clash of Clans. He's like, hey, you have to check this game out. And I downloaded it and started playing it with him. And it's something I still pick up on occasion and play here and there. It's fun. It's just you're the village chief, and you've got to manage your base and build an army to attack other people. And then the game has evolved so much since the first time I played it.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've got clan wars.
Yeah. Can you protect your base when you're not online, or do people still like destroy your town?
They still attack you, but if you have people in your clan castle, and then you have your heroes, so now there's a queen, a king, a queen, a wizard, and an Amazon with like a javelin.
A full chessboard.
Plus, if you have people donate to your clan castle, if you have it set to active, when somebody attacks you, those things defend. So they attack the incoming player to try and protect your resources, so that you don't hopefully don't get completely wiped out and they take everything from you, whatever portion of resources that they're allocated. But
You can't bring up Temple Run and also not bring up Angry Birds, because that was always a big one, same time frame.
yes, Angry Birds.
Yeah, Angry Birds was big. Do you guys remember the bird game that created a frenzy for phones to the point where
Flappy
people,
Bird.
The stupid Flappy Bird.
Flappy Bird, people would buy cell phones that had Flappy Bird installed because you couldn't get it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the story behind that on why the guy took it off?
No.
He was making too much money so fast that it overwhelmed him that he took it off the market. He couldn't handle it anymore. He was making like $50,000 a day off of Flappy Bird, and it just was never meant to be that for him. And it created some sort of anxiety for him that he's like, he heard about people being super addicted to it. And he's like, this was never my plan. People are too addicted to this. I've got to get rid of this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm doing Satan's work. No, he removed it from the Play Store.
And of course, where one person sees something and says this isn't right and pulls away, another large evil corporation says, hey, there's blood in the water, let's go. And monetization out the ass became super common across every mobile game, because it's the portability, it's the accessibility, it's the ease of use. I mean, you don't have to know how to play any other video game to play a mobile game. It is its own genre now. So it's a completely different market of people.
That's interesting too. We touched on this a little bit on other game systems like microtransactions. Have you seen I'm not sure how often you played mobile games now, but have you seen the transition from how microtransactions have changed in mobile games? So Clash of Clans is one that I've seen it a lot in. Early on, it was you could go in and buy gold or gems or things of that nature for your base so that you could level things up a little faster. Because as you got further in the game, if you wanted to level an archer tower, it would take 6 million gold. But it would also take 5 real life days to complete. So there was a time aspect of it that things would take forever. But you could use gems to speed it up or to complete it. And gems was their kind of microtransaction. There was no way to get gems in the game without paying for them. Fast forward to today, they still have all of that, but now they also have season passes. So they run a monthly season pass for every month that's got a skin It allows you to get gems, and they've introduced items that allow you to build things faster. And now in their item shop, you can buy skins for your king and your queen and your wizard and all of these other things. Like they've kind of gone with the times the way other games have, like our traditional games, and mobile games are doing that same thing and creating that same feel on a mobile platform that you get from like modern day PC or console games.
I mean, a lot of like that makes sense because a lot of like the mobile games or mobile phones are pretty much becoming computers. I mean, they've got actual controllers that you can hook up to your phone now on both sides and play it like, a Switch or something, and like a handheld device. And I mean, there's people that play, Call of Duty on there all the time now.
Heck, you can just Bluetooth a controller to your phone too.
You can too. Yeah, I've done that. I've definitely done.
Yeah.
I've played Valheim with Steam, VR Steam, or not VR
Yeah,
Steam, but the Steam remote.
That's the thing is like, okay, so when I first got a smartphone and it was fresh and hot, I played a lot of mobile games. But as I've gotten older and phones have gotten bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller, and I've learned that as I get older, I use my phone less for everything. I don't call people very often. I don't text very often. I can do it all from my computer mostly.
Mm-hmm.
So my phone has really turned into like I read comics on it. Really, that's basically all I do on my phone is I read comic books and stuff like that on my phone. But the games that I do have installed, I'm a very specific person when I install the game on my phone. It's because I really like the game, and the mobile game has a really good UI, or I love the game physically. Like for example, I have a game installed called Ascension. It's a card game, and in real life, I have a couple of the sets, and I don't even have every card, but just the sets that I have, it's like 1,000 cards. So my deck is like of course, I have it all sleeved and color coded because I'm a madman. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
it just falls over all the time. I mean, it's super fun to play in person, but it's one of those games where there's just cards everywhere. So I can load it up on my phone and I can use every card from every set without having 1,000 cards everywhere. And that makes it very easy. So like stuff like that is great. Steam VR, not Steam VR, but the Steam Link, you can play almost anything on your computer on your phone. I mean, you can just stream it straight to your phone, and then it's not even like stressing your phone. It's your computer, and then it's just streaming.
Yeah, just uses your Wi-Fi or your internet.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of the stuff that I do isn't even with the actual mobile games themselves on the marketplace.
Your phone is basically a mini TV at that point.
Yeah, it's a basically doing what a computer is designed to do, I guess. But I mean, there are some mobile games, like there's like some chess games that I have that I play, but I'm really not much of a mobile like actual gamer. I think it's just I used to do it so much that like holding my phone now, like I just want to play on my computer or like the Switch or something instead, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Because like I said, I have Clash of Clans, and I'll boot it up and play it like 1 or 2 days a month for a day, and I'm like, yeah, that's enough. I don't really have I don't want to keep playing it every day, and which obviously that's what they do with a lot of mobile games is to try and pull you back to it every day. They have like daily login rewards and things like that because they want to keep you involved and keep you coming back and playing. But
The amount of times that I've gotten a notification that my Pokemon buddy has gained a candy because I walked a step and that I should log in and check him out. It just reminds me of that South Park episode, if you guys have seen it, where the Canadian Devil made that app, and it was just they were just microtransactioning people.
yeah, that is what it feels like. I was gonna say I'm in the same boat with you as far as card games that I like to play on mobile. Lords of Waterdeep is one that I have on my phone that's fun to play. I think something that's cool that they've done with those card games is the ability that it opens it up that you can play multiplayer with people anywhere. I mean, you still have a friends list, like I can play with you and Brendan, but you also have this ability that if you just want to play Lords of Waterdeep with somebody, you can log in, start a game, and play with somebody, and you don't have to both be active at the same time. Like you run your turn, they get a notification when it's their turn. You kind of play at your own pace, and you can choose to say, okay, I want to play a round of this, but I want it to be completed in 3 days. So each person is committing to at least log in X number of times over 3 days to complete it. And you can kind of do shorter or longer kind of spans. But I think that's fun too, just for the same reason. You don't have a bunch of cards, you're not setting up all the pieces and the board and all of that. You can just kind of hop on and play with someone and get that same feel of playing like a board game in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how Ascension is too. Is you can actually have multiple games going. You can choose what sets you want to use. You can choose how many players there are, how much time. So you can actually set it if you want the game to be quick, you can set your thing to be a 30-minute game so that the person that joins, you're going to be able to complete that game in 30 minutes. Or you can set it to be a 6-day timer so that you have plenty of time to just log in, make your move real quick, and then the other guy can do it, and you can do it over the course of a week. I mean, the flexibility of it all is so convenient.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's been really cool with mobile games, the porting over of a lot of board games.
Yeah, it works so well. And how often do you use your phone as an addition to a board game you're playing in real life for dice, coin flips, tracking health? You know what I mean? When I played Magic, I had an app that just controlled my life and all kinds of stuff on my phone, or your D&D apps that you can use for your characters and stuff. You have your whole character sheet.
I was actually down in St. Louis. I was a couple years ago, and we went and we're playing a game at one of my buddy's cousin's house or something, and it was a board game where it was like a mystery type game, but it kind of had like a D&D feel to it where you actually had to like roll, but you could get an app on your phone where it would randomize the map, and each like the map had different tokens that you'd put down for like the different rooms that you'd go into. And so you just, you'd walk up and the player would say, open the door, the door next to the staircase. And so you'd click on that on your phone and it would randomize a room, and then you'd slap a room down, or it would be, a hallway or a dead end or something. And like, just like right, like that, board games, you're using your phone for that. And, I mean, it's really kind of creeping into everything else as well. I mean, it's not just your, Doodle Jump or Words with Friends and Candy Crush anymore. It's
Yeah, Jackbox is a big one.
I was just about to say that, like, I love how when games utilize the phone as an addition to like those Jackbox games. One of the ones that I remember playing that I had a lot of fun with was the draw one. I think is it Drawful? I think it's Drawful.
I know which one you're talking about, but I don't remember what it's called.
Because you get a thing, and then you have to you draw it, and then the people have to try to guess what it is.
Yeah, it's almost like these game companies are realizing like, oh, I can create this and everybody in every household has a controller. I don't have to ship a controller. I don't have to make a controller for my game. They have a controller. We just build an app.
Don't you guys have phones?
I was going to say, in the words of Blizzard, don't you guys have phones? No, let's talk about that for a second. How do you guys feel about what happened during that whole you guys obviously you guys don't have phones comment with the Diablo, what is it, Eternal on the mobile?
Diablo Immortal. Honestly, like looking back, because at the time I was really big into WoW, and I was more excited about the updates and everything, or the expansions and all that stuff they were talking about there. And I was like, yeah, it'd be cool to get Diablo 4, but they literally stated months before, all the way up to the con, saying we're not bringing out Diablo 4 right now. Like, they specifically stated that, and then everybody got their hopes up because they said they were announcing a Diablo product or project. And I'm one of the ones that wasn't mad about it, because like right now, like we're talking, like you always have your phone, and to be able to play a Diablo game on my phone, I'm going to play it. Like, I don't care. Like, it hasn't come out yet, but to be mad at a company that is making a mobile game for Diablo when the market for that is so big, I mean, they'd be dumb not to. It's the way. I mean, that's how I look at it.
I agree with you, but I think they deserve the backlash they
Oh,
got.
100% they deserve the backlash they got because of his comment.
They could have avoided this by saying we're not bringing Diablo 4 to the marketplace, but the Blizzard mobile team has a Diablo project that we're going to show you.
Yes.
They
Yes.
used, because obviously nobody's expecting a mobile Diablo game. Everybody's there to see the PC games that this PC game company is making.
Yeah.
So everybody there is excited for this, and they knew that people would be pumped if they just said Diablo, because they're a PC company, and nobody thought, oh, this could be a mobile game. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
nobody in the house was like, I bet this is a mobile game that they were working on for Diablo. Like
No.
nobody thought that. And then they were like, oh, it's a mobile game. Everybody had a meltdown. I mean, I don't think that it's a bad idea. I think it's brilliant, and I think they're going to make a crap ton of money from it.
Yeah, even if they don't make anything here, they're definitely going to make it overseas, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Because like that's the thing is the European and Chinese market and all that. Like mobile games are huge over there. I mean, it's like people don't have all the space to spread out and all of the equipment to put all over the place for computers and TVs and stuff. I mean, or they're on the go a lot. I mean, mobile phones are such a simple way to jump into gaming and do whatever you need to do.
Especially with, like we said, especially with the way that they're going now. I mean, you've got a Snapdragon almost in every single phone.
Yeah, I mean, you can play full-on MMOs on your phone. I mean, RuneScape is a mobile game now. You can play RuneScape.
Well, look at that Genshin Impact or whatever it is that just came out.
Genshin Impact is huge. Yeah.
I mean, it's RPG on your phone, and I mean, it's a whole big world.
Yeah, I'm okay admitting that there are a lot of really awesome games that have come out that you can play on the phone. None of which are those like little like microtransaction-y games like Jewel Crush or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they're
Candy Crush.
they're real games, and I admit that, but I'm not the demographic that they're going for, so I just don't pay attention to them basically.
I used to. There was a time that I downloaded a bunch of different ones like that. There was like a Final Fantasy mobile game that I played that was different from the rest.
Was it Dissidia or whatever?
No, I think it was Bravis or something like that.
The FF. I've played one of those because you could like it was like a multiversal timeline explosion play with all these characters and just fight bosses thing, right?
Yeah.
And that stuff's cool. Yeah, it's fun.
So yeah, I kind of followed those for a little bit, but then it got to the point that either you had to spend a bunch of money to get rid of all of the ads because you'd like play for a little bit and it was like, here's a 30-second ad, here's a 30-second ad, and then I'm like, I'm over this.
Yeah.
I'm not paying $20 for a mobile game.
No, you just turn on airplane mode.
I did learn about that later. Yeah.
No, pretty much on my phone now, I've got, a Game Boy emulator. I play Roller Coaster Tycoon, and then the basic solitaire. Because I mean, you get a Game Boy emulator and you've got all the Pokemon, you've got Tetris, pretty much any Game Boy game you want. I mean, I could sit here and play Tetris for hours and not even realize what I'm doing.
Those emulators are awesome, but I found that I only ever use them if I know that I'm going to be traveling and like flying.
Yeah.
So like I have, you're talking like a
in
Bluetooth
the bathroom.
controller.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, I play a lot of Tetris or Pokemon while I'm taking a poo.
But I had them on my phone when I knew I was doing a lot of flying, and I had a Bluetooth controller that the center of it would flip up and expand, and I could set my phone in it. So then like it was like a small TV connected to the controller.
Yeah.
Which was great when I was flying or something. But then I'd put a PlayStation emulator on my phone to play Vandal Hearts. And I played it for a little bit on my phone. And I'm like, this screen's really small. I'm just going to go put a PlayStation emulator on my computer and play it on my computer.
Yeah. One game I did play. So in Final Fantasy 14 vanilla, before the expansions came out, when they were coming out with the Crystal Palace, the first 24-man raid, I knew that was inspired from Final Fantasy 3. So it had just recently released on mobile on the iPhone. So I downloaded Final Fantasy 3 mobile, and I actually played it all the way through, and I played it a lot, and I beat it like right before the patch dropped that released Crystal Palace. So I was like, this is like lining up perfect. But I mean, I'll say it ran great on my phone. The interface was nice and smooth. I mean, it was a really smooth playthrough because I could play it at my desk at work very slyly, just
Mhm.
with the tip my finger. So I was able to play it like all the time too. So super convenient, good UI. Mobile games are fine as long as you don't get bombarded with ads and it doesn't cost more than a couple dollars if you
Yeah.
do have to buy it.
As I say, one mobile game recently that I really enjoyed that didn't have ads really, it was like Pokemon Go. It got you moving.
Oh, yeah, okay, hold on. So everything I've said is that Pokemon Go is an asterisk next to it. I've
Everything you just said's going out the window now.
I've played a lot of Pokemon Go. I've been level 39 for a while now because I haven't played a lot, but like I was almost level 40 before they up to the level cap. I don't play it very much anymore, but just as an example, my Pokemon storage is up to 2050. I don't know what yours is, but mine's at 2050, and my item inventory goes up to 2950. I've put a lot of I've done a lot of basically the only things that I really buy on this are inventory space for Pokemons and items because but I
Yeah.
play me and my wife used to go out and on my community days on Pokemon Go, we would go out for hours and just walk around the fair because the fair
Mhm.
was a great place to play Pokemon Go because it was full of Pokestops and gyms, and we would just walk around for hours just catching hundreds of whatever the community day Pokemon was. It was a really good like bonding experience for us.
Nice.
I used to play a lot of Pokemon Go pre-COVID because it was a reason for me to get out of the office and actually take a break.
Yeah.
Because I worked in the city, so it was like, oh, I haven't like got up and moved in a while. I'm gonna get up and take a 10-minute walk, and I would go outside, get some fresh air, and walk down to one of the gyms or whatever, and do one of the raids. And working in the city, there was always people. So like if there was a big like the what is it like the 6-star raids or whatever the
5-star
really strong
raids,
one,
yeah.
5 stars.
Yeah.
It was easy to always go and meet up with people, and you'd tell who they were because they're all like standing in like a circle around the area and just all staring down at your phone. You knew, so you just walk up to somebody random and chit chat with them, waiting for the raid to start. And it was a great way to get a little bit of exercise and get you out of the office. I do that, and then I'd walk back and go back to work, and maybe catch another one at the end of the day. But it was there was some health benefits to Pokemon Go.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when it first came out, there would be when the foot tracking was a thing, so you would have the little feet, and you would get 2 feet, 1 feet, as you got closer to it before they defaulted it to just basically just the way it works now is it's Pokestops and gyms. That's where things like
Yeah.
will show you like where they are. But there used to be a tracker you'd actually walk around. Like I remember, like there was a Dratini by the office, and like the entire office got up, and we just took off, and there was people from other offices that we didn't know. We were like, "You out here for the
Sprinting out
Dratini?"
there.
Yeah, like we're like, "You're here for the Dratini?" Yeah, we're looking too, and like we would all find it and then like catch it and go back to work. Like it was, we would go to the park and walk around, and there was just droves of people all
Yeah.
playing Pokemon Go. Everybody. It was one of the coolest like experiences like before COVID because like it united so many people.
Yeah, I definitely when it first came out, I remember it being like huge and massive, and like was always like, hey, what which faction did you choose? Did you go, are you yellow, blue, red, or they did, I guess they came out with a Harry Potter version of it, kind of like
I
a
tried
walk
it.
around. Yeah, I mean I definitely downloaded it for a second. I think I immediately uninstalled it. I mean,
Yeah, it's not the same. I mean, the idea
no.
of walking around and catching Pokemon is like a childhood dream.
Yeah.
The Harry Potter one was just like trying to capitalize on the idea.
Yeah.
What was the game that kind of kicked off Pokemon? Is it CS:GO?
I don't think that is the game. Are you talking about the one that the same company made it, but it's like the hacker one where there's like the hack points?
Yeah, and it's identical. Like the Pokestops in Pokemon Go and the stuff you would hit in this game are all the same locations. It's like they took their APIs that was using all this data, created Pokemon Go, and then we're like, oh well, we already have all this data. We're just going to do this and re-interface it with Pokemon Go.
Say, as I say, you said CS:GO. That's Counter Strike.
Yeah.
Global offensive.
Yeah. I don't remember the name of the game, but it's kind of like Pokemon Go where there's different factions and you're like a hacker faction and you can go and like hit these data points and like turn them. I've never played it, but it's like more of like a
I had a
digital
guy at work
hacker.
that played that. Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. He was telling me about that. That actually seemed kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like these geolocation games that come out like this, like it's really cool. Like I think it's great.
Yeah, it didn't click on me until you said the hacker and it actually could go hack the areas. Yeah, that definitely.
Ingress.
Yeah, I'm
Ingress,
looking at
that's
it
what
right
it's
now.
called.
Ingress.
Ingress.
Yes. And if you look at Ingress, the map and everything is very similar,
Mhm.
like the way it gives you the street structures and all that stuff to Pokemon Go.
Yeah. I used to go on raid trains. I was in a local Discord and we would go 10, 15 cars deep driving around town. Like we would all pull up to the Pokestop. Like there wasn't enough parking for all of us, so we would all have to get out and like walk to the Pokestops. We're all just standing there awkwardly fighting a Pokemon, catch it. The raid train moves fast. You don't have time to just stand there and catch it. As soon as that thing goes down, you're going back to the car. I would always have my wife's phone, so I would be doing it with two phones, and like other people would too. And then like as soon as the thing would go down, we'd rush back to our cars, and I'd try to catch them as Jamie drove us to the next. I would check Discord. I'm like, they're going to this gym next. This is the next raid, and we would just go boom boom boom, and it just like follow the cars, and I'd just be trying to catch them before we get there because everything moves so fast. And if you
Yeah.
don't catch it and you miss the raid because you don't get into the raid because there's that timer that goes down before everybody joins. So it was just this mad dash from one place to the next. And it was a lot of fun. It was kind of stressful, but it was a lot of fun to do.
I never did it that deep.
I got some super dope shiny tier 5 raid Pokemon though.
I think the only tier 5 shiny that I have is the dragon.
So I didn't get in it that much. I literally just used it as an excuse to go walking.
Here's my shiny lucky Gardevoir or whatever. No, it's I think it's Groudon, but I named this one Groudverine. So like if you trade somebody a Pokemon, there's a chance that it'll become a lucky Pokemon, which basically just means that it takes less candy and Stardust to power up and evolve and stuff.
Mhm.
But when you send each other gifts, there's a chance for you to become lucky friends, which guarantees your next trade. So me and my wife would always like try for the lucky friend thing, and then when we get it, we would get these raid Pokemon that were like super dope and just trade each other one, and we would get like an automatic super dope lucky one.
Nice.
I have a few luckies, and it was because I had an old cell phone that would still run Pokemon Go, and I would connect it to my hotspot on my phone because I had unlimited Wi-Fi on my phone, or unlimited like data on my phone. So then I could go and raid with both phones and do the same thing. I was just trading it to and from. I had two different accounts that I would just trade back and forth, and they tried to send Pokemon back and forth to, so that I could do the same thing, try and get like lucky Pokemon. I remember when Pokemon Go first came out, and there was a way to hack the geolocation stuff, because there's certain Pokemon that were geolocation specific that like you actually could only get them in
Yes.
Europe.
I hung out at the Eiffel Tower for a while.
And yeah, there's a way that you could jailbreak your phone and spoof your location, and the Pokemon Go wouldn't pick it up. The biggest thing that they would pick up is if you spoofed your location too far too fast and logged back in. It's like you couldn't go from being in Paris to then being in California and log in within like the same day.
Yeah.
Because it would pick up like, oh, something's not right here, and they would disable your account.
Yeah. I did that quite a bit too, just because I thought it was kind of lame that I couldn't get a Chansey or a Mr. Mime, or was it Clefairy?
We're going to be like in California for Hitman.
Yeah.
Like Hitman.
Do you remember
Hitman
the
League?
guy that got to they paid some dude like a bunch of money to fly around the world to catch all 150 Pokemon for the first time? Do you remember that?
I do.
Yes.
I do.
What a gig.
So yeah, that's probably the mobile game that we spent the most time on, as well as Pokemon Go. I definitely played a lot of Pokemon Go.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, it did what it was intended to do because eventually I got into jogging and like I started losing weight. I remember specifically this one day. It was really, really hot, and my wife did not want to go jogging with me. But I was like, I like it when it's super hot because it just feels like more. I don't know. I like it. But I went out there and there was nobody at the park, and I was like, these gyms are all mine. And I ran to every one of those gyms and I took every one of them over. Nobody was out there. I'm drenched in sweat, and I'm just like, this is my gym. Thanks. Like nobody was here. I took it. I ran over to the cemetery across the street. I just jogged over there and started taking gyms over there. And there was the cemetery, by the way, had some issues with Pokemon Go when it first came out.
Oh God.
They got very angry because there was just lines of cars because there's so many Pokestops in the funeral or in the cemetery because
Jesus.
there's so many like monuments and things
Yeah.
of that nature that occur, are so the cemetery actually contacted Niantic to have them removed because it was like just too much. So and I think they kind of cleared that area out because people were being so disrespectful driving on the
Yeah.
grass, stuff like
Jesus.
that.
That's that explains people. I mean,
Yeah.
that's people in a nutshell.
No matter what, even if it's a good thing, eventually
It will be
somebody's
ruined.
gonna ruin it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a story about some guy who like shot a trespasser who was playing Pokemon Go on his land,
Mm-hmm.
and he like pulled a gun on him. Which is why they now have that pop-up that says like make sure wherever you're playing you're not trespassing, or like there's warnings that they had to implement into the game
Yeah.
to kind of cover their own butts,
Yeah.
to make sure that people weren't going into places like that they weren't supposed to.
That's got to be one of the reasons they removed the actual foot tracking and just switched it to Pokemon spawn at Pokestops and randomly in the wild because people were just wandering into people's yards because that's where the footsteps were taking them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I say, there were definitely a few times when I was walking out in my old neighborhood and the footsteps were like, oh, go this way. And I'm like, that's somebody's yard. I'm not going in the backyard. I'll just, won't get this one. Just keep walking.
Oh yeah, man. I remember there was a Squirtle that spawned by my house, and I didn't live in the greatest neighborhood at the time. And it was like 10 o'clock at night. I was like, I'm not scared. My grandpa used to walk around here all the time. I used to go with him. It was fine. 20 years ago. But I ended up going down an alley, and I'm like halfway down this alley, and like it's like not popping up, and I look up and I realize where I'm at, and I'm like, I don't know where the fuck I'm at. I, I'm going home, and like I put a little pep in my step and kicked my heels home. I mean,
Glad you had your shoes on.
that's why I got them, baby. Fires, people that break in, and rare Pokemon that spawn just out of reach.
Pokemon Go, I mean, that still came out in 2016. I mean, there's still like from 2016 till now, just mobile games have gone even further. Now they've started porting over PUBG, Fortnite, all the actual like battle royales and shooter games now. From
Rocket League just came out with Sideswipe.
Yeah, I did see that. They're actually Apple's got their Apple Arcade, which is kind of like Xbox Game Pass and stuff like that. I mean, even Xbox is talking about starting a port for cloud gaming to have PC games coming to mobile phones.
Have you guys ever seen a Windows phone?
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend that had a Windows phone and he swore by it, and I thought it was really cool looking, but I just never saw anybody like it just like the Windows phone like never like became, you know what I mean? Like there's always Android versus Apple, and I don't feel like the Windows phone ever really even got in between them. It was like its own little niche market.
The only phone that I ever feel like had a chance at for a small period of time was the BlackBerry.
Yeah, but the problem is I would be like, hey, you should download Pokemon Go, and he's like, well, it's not on Windows. It's not on the Windows phone, and I was like, what is this device? What is this?
What is this pathetic thing that doesn't have
I was like,
Pokemon Go?
I don't understand. It does have access to the App Store. There's no App Store to download Pokemon Go. I don't get it.
It's
Jeez.
because the coding languages that they used to develop games was never designed for the Windows phone.
Yeah.
They were designed by Apple and Google, so they were designed to be coded in that way. And then somebody created a language that allowed you to do both, and it ports it to both phones. But yeah, Windows is kind of its own thing that nobody.
I mean, it was a sweet phone. It was cool because it had like the Windows like box UI. It was rad. Couldn't run Pokemon Go though.
I'm actually reading right now the Microsoft and Google have been they're developing the cloud gaming and stuff for like Xbox Game Pass and Stadia and everything for the console games on phones, but they are targeting mainly like Android phones, not Apple, because Apple has restrictions on their applications. So you wouldn't even be able to play, Xbox games on an iPhone if they do that.
That's not a bad segue to close it out. We're talking about all these games. What about the hardware? Are you guys an Apple iPhone fan, or do you prefer the Android, or is there a different phone that I didn't say out loud?
So I started on an iPhone and had one or two iPhones. And then when Samsung came out with the Galaxy Note 3 was the phone I switched from Apple over to Android. It was definitely a communal influence. Where I was working at the time, pretty much everybody was an Android user. So you'd always get flack from people because you were the only guy on an iPhone. So I played around with a lot of Android phones that friends had that I worked with, and ultimately made the switch over to a Samsung device. And I've been with the Android system ever since.
I've always been a Samsung and Android user. I never really got into iPhones. My friends have had them before, and I didn't even like the iPods when they came out. I was always, the off-brand MP3 players and all that. And, I never wanted to pay the money for the iPad or iPod name.
We just couldn't pay the money for the iPod name.
That's the same here.
my MP3 player was it was like long and like thick, and it had like it was just full of Green Day.
Yep. Yeah, so I've always had Android. Pretty much ever since the Notes came out, I've had a Note, and I'm on the Note 10 Plus or whatever now. So
and now it's so hard to leave the ecosystem that you're in because it's not just a phone anymore.
Yeah.
It's everything in your house.
Yeah.
Like if you're an iPhone user, you have Apple TV, you have MacBooks, you have all of these things that are tied into your phone that work from your phone and only work from that particular operating system.
Yeah.
So like same for us with Google. We've got Google Home, we've got Google TVs, Android TVs. I have all these things that I can control from my phone that if I make that switch, like 90% of the stuff in my house, that all the smart technology becomes obsolete because I can't use on an iPhone.
Yeah, I remember when the Samsungs and all them tried going with Bixby and they were like, nope, went right back to Google. It's like that just never worked. I think people started leaving. They're like, we're not using it. Like, we don't like that. Everybody just turned off the Bixby. Like, yeah, like that's why I have this, because everything is Google. I use Google for everything, and it goes through my phone, and it's just how my house is set up.
Yeah, I remember when the phone I have has a Bixby button, and I was like, what do I need to do to make that not take me to Bixby?
Yeah.
No, this phone doesn't, but my old phone had a button that was the Bixby button, and I sought out a way to set it up so that it launched something else because I just don't want Bixby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started out as an iPhone user too, but that was in the early days. And then that phone broke. My next phone was an Android, and it was a tough switch. I kind of did it because I heard of all the customization that you could do on an Android. I liked the that you could change some things on the iPhone, but you were really limited to like very small amounts of creativity. But Android, I was under the impression that you could just do whatever you wanted. So when I switched to Android, I spent days just trying so many different themes and changing things, and I just had a blast doing
Mhm.
that. So I just love that you can do a lot of creative things to set your phone up the way you want it to be set up. There's a lot of like third party side load APK type things that you can do like off the app store stuff that enhances your phone in some way, that gives you certain things for free if that's what you're looking for. Uh, I mean, there's so many different things that you can do on Android that I feel like Apple is just locked down and won't allow you to do.
I think of the one thing I liked about early Android phones was you could root them, same thing as jailbreaking, but with rooting, you could remove all the bloatware.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
like back in the day, your only option to buy a phone, like you couldn't go and buy it like from Samsung. Like it always went through your carrier. Like you went to AT&T or Verizon or Sprint or whoever, and you got the phone there. And yeah, it was a Samsung phone, but it came preloaded with all of the AT&T apps, and you couldn't delete them. Like there was all this bloatware that was on your phone that you couldn't get rid of. But
Yeah.
the Android phones, you had a way that you could root it, and you could go in and actually remove all of that bloatware and take it back to a basic phone. Which is why ultimately I made the switch from Samsung. I have a Samsung now, but when I first made the switch when the Google Pixel came out, because the Pixel, when you buy it from Google, it doesn't come loaded with any of that bloatware. It's got Android with Google stuff on it. And even if you don't want Google stuff on it, they're like, okay, then remove it. Like there's nothing on the Google Pixel device that you have to keep or maintain on that phone to make it work, which I felt was great. That's actually one thing I hate about my Samsung now is I randomly get like pop-up ads. Like if I go somewhere that Samsung's credit card is offering 5% off, I get this stupid ad thing that pops up that's like Samsung credit card and you can save 5% on your purchase here. I'm like, stop sending me ads on my phone.
Yeah.
Like, that's not.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I get the same thing. The Google Fi program is pretty cool.
I've definitely looked into that. I think once me and my wife pay off our phones, we're going to be swapping to Google Fi.
I've heard they started opening it up to iPhones as well. Like there's
It was limited to certain phones last time I checked, but it was a good way to, I mean, if you didn't need a lot, I mean, it was a low price, quick, easy plan to get on.
I mean, they still have for like, because we were looking at it a couple months ago, and with iPhones, it will tell you, hey, this Samsung phone is going to work, at peak performance. You're going to get, 100% all the time. iPhone, you maybe get like 95% of the time. Like there's going to be areas that you're not going to get great service in, but for the most part, I mean, they've really upped it. I mean, my neighbor across the street's got it. And I mean, I've asked him multiple times and he's like, I love it. Because they have, I guess with it, you can, this is hashtag not an ad, as Stephen would say. But they have where you can just up the data plan you need for like that month and just pay for the cap you need for the month and then lower it again the next month. And there's no contract. So
yeah, I know when it first came out, it was literally pay for what you use. It
Yeah.
was $10. It was like $1 a gig.
Mhm.
So if you were paying for 20 gigs, but say that month you went over 22 gigs, you weren't hit with any sort of fees. You just paid $22
Yeah.
for your data instead of 20. And that following month, if you only used 15, well, then your bill went down $7 from last month because you only used 15 gigs. I don't know what it's like now, but that's what it was like early on, which I thought was just, it was awesome. I mean, most of the time, if you're at home, you're connected to the Wi-Fi, you're not really using that much data. It really just depends on what kind of stuff you're doing on your phone. But
All right, well, to close it out, the final question: what's your guys' favorite like only mobile game, not a port or an emulation, like an actual game made for the phone?
Ugh.
Mine is Hill Climb Racer. It's that is tied with the original Plants vs Zombies, because the original Plants vs Zombies was really really fun, but Hill Climb Racer was also super fun. Both of these games are still available on the App Store, so if you want to check out these old classics, I believe they're like, I know Hill Climb Racer is free. I'm sure Plants vs Zombies is like $1 or it's free, and you can pay an extra few dollars to get free stuff or something.
pay an extra few dollars to get free stuff.
I really just walked a circle on that, right? Like that doesn't make any sense.
It's terrible. I don't like it. No, Will.
Mine would probably be Clash of Clans, just because I played it so much and I felt like I got a sense of completion from like I can see what I've accomplished over the years of playing it. Like my base is so much bigger, and I have all these troops leveled up and that sort of thing. So I feel like I can actually see the progression of the time that I put in it. It's not like I was mindlessly playing something and I don't feel like I have anything to physically show for it. Whereas I can log in and see mine. I'm like, yeah, I have all of these things that if somebody wanted to accomplish this today, they're going to either spend a lot of money, or B, it's going to take them a few years of just playing it normally to get the stuff that I have.
Yeah, I mean, like, 90% of the games I play are all just emulators. I mean, realistically, if I'm a game on a phone would be, I don't know. I mean, there's been a few that I enjoyed, like that Draw Some thing was fun. You guys ever play that?
Yeah, where you could like draw something and send it to people.
Yeah, I mean, I loved that game. Then you've got, oh God, I don't know. I mean, I'll just be basic and say Snake. Like, I've always been like, I love the older games. Like I said, I mean, with the emulator, I play Tetris 95% of the time. I mean, that's a game that, came out on mobile way back in the day. I mean, it was shortly after Snake.
Yeah, there was a mobile Tetris.
Yeah, I mean, that's I've always just been a basic, bitch in mobile gaming world, I guess. Well, that's time for me to go play my games. I'll see you guys later. Next time. Yep, and got this, and yeah. So don't forget, follow our socials. Gamer Getting Older on Twitter, and Gamers Getting Older on Instagram. Also, gamersgettingolder.com for our merch. And yeah, I'm gonna continue playing my Tetris, and I'll see you guys next week.
You're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go Mac, right? Like,
Do it, baby.